welcome back to the podcast, mate. Been a long time coming.
Yep.
So, take two, part two.
Yep.
Where are we?
Not playing football anymore, as you're aware. So I think the last one we had, what's that got to be, about a year ago?
18 months.
18
yeah,
months, something
it was
like
quite a
that.
while, yeah.
Yeah, very much playing football at that point. Trying to balance that with building a coaching business and working a full-time job. So we got to the stage, obviously, we'll get away from our football career, but yeah, packed up playing football in, April of last season. It's just given me the opportunity really to focus in on the coaching side of things. And I think to be fair, I originally reached out to you to see if we could do this little podcast, and a lot of the reasoning behind that was we're at 5 years in June last year.
That's what I was about to say. What anniversary are we on now for the?
We're halfway through the 5th year, so yeah. So it was 5 years last June, and I think as the company's grown, but we've had more and more people come. There's not many people that know the backstory as to why we do stuff, how we got to where we are. I certainly have certain conversations with people who just think it's always been like this, and it's not. So kind of just wanted to open up and shed a little bit of light on where we come from, where it started, shout out some people that have helped us get along the way, which is important, and thankfully we're here now. So
good. Right, so let's strip it right back. Let's go back. So, how did it start? How did it come about?
Yeah, so some people, as I said, some people will know about this. It was actually during COVID, after the first lockdown. So we'd obviously, if you remember, we'd gone into those restrictions, but we weren't allowed outside. And I think the government had allowed the social distancing, but it was 6 to 1 that you could have, or whatever it may have been. But at that time, I was taking my eldest son out in his pram over at Priory Park in Southend, and see somebody doing a coaching session. And football had obviously been taken away. So naturally just stood there whilst he was asleep in his pram watching. I thought this could be something that I can do in between that gap of us being in lockdown and going back to football. So just trying to get back out of the house and get in touch. At the time, playing for Grays Athletics, spoke to them. Before you know it, I put a post out there just to see if anybody would. To be honest, I'd hoped somebody would have bit, but I wasn't too sure because you never really know. And at that time, there wasn't that many in the space, and in Southend, the companies there, PL1 and Ben Bradford, have kind of had that area locked down anyway. So I put the post out there, but obviously leaned on Grays Athletic to help quite a bit. I ended up getting a nibble pretty quickly off of somebody that was non-related to Grays, through Twitter, and I did the session, really enjoyed it, and the lad didn't realise he had to pay. So that was a lesson straight away to be really clear in your marketing. But yeah, started off with the first boy I ever coached was a boy called Jack Hill, who's still with me now. So I took him. Jack he was 8 years old. He's now 13. Started off there. Borrowed my mate at the time, Scott Allison, was working at Southend, so I borrowed Scott's cones and some of the balls that I'd left over in the shed. It was all like multicoloured. That you just do, almost looked like a dad taking a lad over the park. Do you know what I mean? But that's what it looked like. Did the sessions, and then little by little it built. And to be fair, Grays were brilliant. I had a couple of kids come through. Maeve Pitney was another one. Sam Greek. Bless him. I had a lad called Billy Kilduff Partridge that was with me as well. And I had this like 4 or 5 goalkeepers. I thought was doing really, really well. It's really enjoyable. And that was over at Chalkwell Park in Westcliff.
Yep.
If I look back at that, just all I can really remember is like fresh days, but really sunny. Doing it in the morning. So if you remember that COVID summer was ridiculous. Roasting. It was roasting, and had that, and then just through the non-league network really, a guy called Tony Tucker that runs Precision Goalkeeping. He had a school of goalkeepers at the Peg in Corringham, and he was doing it with a guy called Ben South. Well, Ben was like the connection to the place. So Tony phoned me and just said, I've got this school of goalkeepers, I can't really commit, because he lives in Harold, at the time I think he was in Harold Wood, I can't really commit to doing it every week. Is it something that you'd be able to take over? I remember I was in Tesco's at the time, on the phone, I'm like, yeah, I'll tried, I'll have a go. We get over there, And it's just like learning curves. It was like, right, you've got X amount of goalkeepers. I planned the session to get there. Told them I'm going to have 8 or 9. End up with 3. And it kind of stumbled over like that, and then we kind of built it from there. Tony let me take that, and then from there I started to bring my own goalkeepers in to try and beef up the sessions, because obviously planned for certain tactical sessions, but when you've only got X amount of kids and at varying levels, it's hard to try and design that session. That progressed. We then got into the winter, so I used the lights that they had over there, which weren't the best. And I remember panicking at that time, so the numbers had grown against boys that are still with me now, like Harry Spencerley, been with me for a long time. And I'm kind of thinking, I don't know what to do here, because at that point, as much as I was reinvesting anything I'd earned into back into equipment so that we could level up, didn't have the money or the resources to afford floodlights or an Astra at that point. Thankfully, we'd gone into the second lockdown. As much as it infuriated the entire country, it meant it allowed me to take stock of where we were at without it crumbling.
Yeah.
So most businesses fold, don't they? The high percentage of businesses fold within the first year.
Yeah, exactly.
And I would suggest that had that not have happened, we would have gone very close, because it wasn't anywhere near the quality that I wanted to deliver. So out of my own pride, I would have probably just said, this isn't working, because...
So just taking you back to that first couple of sessions, did you ever think it could get to where it's got today? Or did you see it as, we're in COVID, we're in lockdown, everyone's looking just to make a few quid somehow, some way?
No, I mean, I didn't think we would get to 5 years down the line and be just shy of 90 goalkeepers at that point. We'll get on to it as we go through. I mean, everything that's happened, genuinely I've manifested. And I didn't believe in manifestation, really. I just thought it was something that you would see videos on YouTube about. But if I look back now, like every goal that we've managed to achieve, at some stage I have visualised us being there. But at the time, no, it's kind of just trying to get used to session design and trying to being fluid with how you deliver the sessions. And at the point, I had an idea of what I thought good look like then. This is very different to what good looks like now. And I would probably say at the start, a lot of the stuff I was coaching was probably replicating what I was doing in my own sessions.
Yeah, that's my sort of next real question really is, how do you find the coaching structure? So I've done the UEFA C now.
Yep.
So I now know how a session plan should look, and it's miles away from what I was ever delivering prior to getting that knowledge.
Yep.
Was you the same in terms of that you was just teaching how you was taught, or did you not realise how much planning was involved, or had you been educated with that through your journey as a professional, semi-professional?
Well, I've been through the academy system as a kid, which I alluded to on the last pod. So I'd been through, I'd say I had like elite level training. I'd always been coached by A licensed or B licensed coaches. But because of my playing career, I could never get on the badges. Unfortunately, the time I was at Dagenham, we wasn't registered with a PFA, so I couldn't go through that route. But I'd always looked into coaching and always, and we can kind of get onto this, but there's a big gap in non-league, just in football generally, with goalkeeping coaching. But I didn't have my first goalkeeping coach in non-league, so I was mid-20s. So after a while, you get sick and tired of making mistakes. So you try to work it out yourself, and you'd have a guy there, I had Ricky Clark at Haybridge, that will serve you the ball. But really it would be a lot of me going away, watching videos, watching session plans of other goalkeeping coaches, and then trying to deliver those in my own sessions when I was a player. And when I started to coach, it's like, right, well, we now need to strip this back a little bit and make it age appropriate. Yeah. But a lot of it at the start, especially for those children, was to just teach them the basics of how to catch, how to dive, how to move your feet, how to scoop the ball, how to stand, how to set yourself.
But if you, in terms of you knew you could do it, how did you find those sessions when you've got maybe a child or a player that maybe can't do what you find easy, if that makes sense? You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So like if you're not used to coaching on them early sessions, was it a bit like, oh, did you ever have one of those moments of, oh, what have I done? Or was it a bit chaotic? Give me an idea of...
Yeah.
Because I'm only talking from my, obviously, as you know, coaching kids, is that sometimes, even now, after five years, you go, oh, it's easy. You do it 1 week, and then the next week you're like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah. I would liken it to, if someone's done it, you know when you're around children when you don't have kids?
Yeah.
That feeling?
Yeah, 100% agree with that.
And they're like, I need a wee. Right? I can do my laces up. It's the little things when you haven't got, but when you've got kids and you've got young kids, you are so much more relatable. And I suppose in certain ways tolerant, because you know what it's like. And I suppose I get a real buzz off of teaching. The dopamine hit, or whatever you want to call it, I get is for you being able to come to a session, not being able to dive or diving on your belly, and doing one drill that I've created that I know works, watching you do it, watching you smile, turning around, seeing mum and dad proud as punch that their boy or girl was able to do that, and knowing that was off the back of it. But yeah, those early sessions, they kind of shape you with. You don't. Not everybody's coachable in the sense that they just turn up and want to be, or not necessarily want to be. What's the word I'm trying to say? But receives that information the same way. So if I look back, there's probably times where I would have got things wrong, where they probably didn't maximise the capabilities at that session. But for me, without knowing at the time, I'm almost learning on job. But I also knew what worked for me playing. So as long as I didn't steer too far away from that, and I don't think necessarily you have to reinvent the wheel.
No.
Like, especially with goalkeeping, and I watch a lot on YouTube and a lot on Instagram and socials, just to kind of get ideas. And you get a lot of people that are so critical of people that put stuff up online. Oh, why are you teaching that rubbish? That's not how you set. That's not how you do this. And you think, well, for starters, you're trying to help someone, so let's not shoot down the people that are trying to help kids. And ultimately, as far as I'm aware, there's no right or wrong way of playing in goal. So there's no right or wrong way.
Just keep the ball out of the net.
Keep the ball out of the net. Yeah, I watch. When we go technical here, but I watch David Raya, Manuel Neuer, Donnarumma, Edison. Like, they're all completely different styles. Manuel Neuer does everything that, as an English goalkeeper, we were told not to do. He's the best in the world. So who am I to say to a child, this is exactly how you need to do X, Y, Z? But I've tried to go more down the route of his advising that this seems to work. Let's try and find a solution for that kid. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So kind of going back to the session design. So a lot of stuff I would do is kind of look in for example, a 1v1's a 1v1. Ball gets put through, they get past the defender, it's a free shot and goal. Yeah, it doesn't change. That is the scenario.
Yeah.
The pictures, they're changed differently on the weight of the first touch, whether it's a through ball when they're running onto it, or whether they've actually dribbled past somebody. And then it's just a case of like recreating that picture, and letting them find a solution. But the art for me of coaching was, how can I deliver that the best, and how can I create that environment where they're going to be able to train and not worry about getting it wrong. If anything, I kind of need you to keep getting it wrong. That's how I can coach.
Yeah,
if you get it right first time, every time, then all I'm really doing is facilitating you in that session, and then I have to look at it from another perspective, and maybe we have to go down the mindset route of trying to more mental. But in terms of technical, especially at the younger age, get it wrong, keep getting it wrong, then get it right, and then I'll remind you when you got it right and keep going that way. So that's kind of how some of the session designs was. But when you, a bit of a long answer, but when we're going back to how do you make sure when stuff doesn't go right or whatever it is, it's more just trying to be more personable with the kids to get the message across.
Yeah. No, that's good. So what was the moment when you knew you was on to something big? When did the penny drop? That from going from walking with the buggy through the park to the first few sessions to realising that, hold on, this could be something.
When I moved back to Grays to coach, so I was living in Southend at the time, so I'd coached at Westcliff, was coaching at Priory Park here and now, And I suppose there's 2 points, and it all kind of culminated into one stage. What effective goalkeeping has been running for 5 years, but not necessarily as effective goalkeeping. Originally, it didn't even have a name. Didn't have any of this. It just evolved as a business does. I think it would have been Danny Sambridge goalkeeping, like most people start off, and it was after the lockdown, the second lockdown. Again, Grays Athletic had got themselves a grant for portable floodlights, which I was able to use, and from that point it just took off because I had no restrictions. I basically invested everything I'd earned into equipment, so we had a full size 11-a-side goal, we had mannequins, the blaze pod lights, all the stuff that would be eye catching, top of the range balls, and now I had these floodlights. I can do this anywhere. There is no restriction. We went over to, and for me, Blackshot's playing field, for those that are around Grays area, that was the place I first started playing football as a kid, and it was like a safe space, and I kind of went back over to there. And I had a couple of keepers that come in that were, and it's luck, a lot of this is luck, I just had a couple of kids that come in that just were very good, like from a starting point, and I was able to help those kids, push them, and end up getting into academies. The academy isn't the be all and end all, but I think when you've got pro clubs messaging you asking, have you got any kids to send us? You've got other parents inquiring frequently. It kind of all culminated in that sort of period, and it's like, right, we now need to come up with a name of this. And I thought, going back to what I was saying earlier, that there's no right or wrong way to keep goal, just an effective way. It's like, right, well,
there you go.
It's a bit of a no-brainer. Do you know what I mean? You can spend time. I mean, now ChatGPT wasn't around then. I'd have probably just gone on AI and asked me, but it made sense to go with that, and it booms really. But I can remember coming back to the manifesto stuff. I can remember writing down numbers of kids that I wanted to coach. So I knew that I would be able to coach 4 to 6 in a group on my own, depending on the ability. And I knew that I would be coaching for 4 hours a night. So the maximum was 24 kids. And I wrote that down and I was like, right, I want to get to 24. And thankfully, it's little by little, and a lot of it was word of mouth, and a lot of the people, like the early days of, I try and rattle some of the names off now, but I had kids like Tyler Hughes, Tommy Fawcett, Henry Warby, Oliver Gray, Teddy Brown, like these sorts of kids, but their parents, Sam Clockworthy. The kids obviously did really well, but the parents were very vocal in how good the sessions were. And ultimately that's the product, isn't it?
Yeah.
So because the product was evolving, it was getting better and better. And as a consequence of that, the performances of those kids were getting better and better. They were getting looked at, and then other people were going, oh, who does your son go to? Who does your daughter go to? And they were people always send them towards me. And then obviously you get to the next level.
So by the sounds of it, you had from the off, you always had a business logic around it. It sounded like a lot of thought process went into like planning, like a business plan as such, where you knew you wanted to go.
Yeah.
So in terms of the business side, how much involvement away from the session? How many hours are we talking a week, Danny, that you're putting into this? Obviously, we know you've got full-time work and stuff as well. So what are you putting in away from sessions that people might not see?
I mean, on a joke, half not semi-serious, but not. I mean, if you ask my missus any spare hour, genuinely any spare hour that I've got, but
that's not an excuse to get out of doing jobs around the house, mate.
I also think that's most people that are involved in football. A lot of it is, like, as I said, I've got a full-time job, right? So I'm been PAYE, and I've had this conversation, like, just kind of standard employer, 9 to 5, and running a business, operating a business is completely separate. And I think there's a lot of people getting into this space at the moment for various reasons, and I think they need to be mindful that that coaching and running a business is something completely separate. And I think, I mean, you run your own business, you understand that there's working on and working in. And I think you spend a lot of time working in the business. For me, that's physically coaching. So currently I'm doing 20 hours a week. That's 3 hours on a Monday night, 4 hours Wednesday night, 4 hours Friday night. And then I think it's 9 hours, so we're on a Friday. So tonight I'm finishing roughly about 9:30 from 5:15. And tomorrow I start at 8:30, finish at 5. with no break. So but that's working it in. Then it's like, right, well, the business side, I've got to work on the business. I've got to make sure, and that's the bit that's taken time to learn. And I think that's where a lot of people that can do this can kind of fall short.
Yeah, I think when you take a hobby or an interest and turn it into a business, no one tells you about admin, accountancy. You've got to wear so many hats in a business.
Like I'll ask you the question. How stressful is cash flow? Like,
well, there's any form of lack of sleep always revolts around to how much is booked in, how much is going out. So it's I think it's the same for everybody in that aspect. But no one warns you. No one gives you that.
And you you have experiences where you get burnt as well. And I think that's what. I've had that definitely. I've had. Won't name name. I've had an incident where I had a child I was coaching, and for whatever reason the payment wasn't made when it should have been made. And I probably wasn't tracking it in terms of the kind of accounting process. I'm not being funny, like I said, it would have been quite loose at that point. I just hadn't noticed, and then a couple of messages went, and then there was a couple of kind of messages sent back on pulling the heartstrings a little bit. So you let it go, and then you realise actually this isn't fair on anyone. And then you have to cut tyres, and then off the back of that you're like, right, well, I've been burnt once, I'm not going to get burnt again. So then you improve your processes, and you go, right, well, this is a process for paying, this is how we pay, this is the structure and the finance bit, this is when I get all of the accounting piece done. I didn't think of that before, because you just think I'm just coaching, but you're not.
So you've had to learn about your pricing, your policies, and the running of day-to-day business, as well as
I think
how to adapt being a goalkeeper and being a goalkeeper coach. I suppose it's all you've had it all to deal with.
Being a business owner and dealing with obviously dealing with the accounting side, but with your accountant, but then reaching out to vendors for equipment that you want to try and get deals with, or reaching out to schools and trying to nick a tiny bit of Astro, as you know how hard that is. And
I've helped where I can, mate.
You've more than helped, but but then having relationships with schools and dealing with price increases, whether you feel that they're just or not, but then how that impacts your business, and also then looking at what other people are doing. Like, you have to look at what the going rate is within the market of the industry that you're working in. For me, it was always about, I need to make sure that the sessions are as engaging as possible. I need to be able to apply as much energy as I can so that your child firstly has fun, because that's the main thing. 0.001% are going to make it. We have to make sure that they enjoy being there. And
absolutely.
We're about to come into February, so it's freezing at the moment. I need to make sure that the children that are there for that hour are leaving with a massive smile on their face. Firstly, secondly, I need to make sure that them children are leaving having learnt and also feel the confidence. Now that doesn't always happen. Because sessions are designed to be difficult in testing, so you will get to a stage where they're not always going to leave making tons of saves. It's going to go wrong sometimes. But for them to feel supported and backed up. If you've got that, which is the product, then it's how do you value that product in line with the others, and then holding firm on that. We are seeing at the moment, I don't know if I should say this actually, but we're seeing some that naturally come in and obviously would undercut. You see some goalie coaches that are messaging, like basically tapping kids up to coach them. You're like, if you're a good coach and the sessions are good, you don't need to do that. The business, like, it will come.
Yeah, no, I think you can become across desperate if you go down that route, in my opinion. It's no different to coaches doing it, tapping up players, because I always look at it that they haven't got the skill set to make their players that good, so they're going to steal everybody else's to make a good team.
Yeah,
and I think that's the same aspect, is that if someone's poaching,
especially if you're charging,
students,
especially if you're charging. I really like your child. Come, I'll give you a session for nothing, and try and poach them that way. And you're like, I don't know about that. I kind of, my ethos or motto at the moment with what we're trying to do is kind of that. You've seen the Field of Dreams, the Kevin Costner film. The film Kevin.
I'm the worst person to ask about films.
So there's a film.
Put it on. I'm asleep before it's even started.
I won't go into the film, but it's a Kevin Costner film. It's a good film. It's an emotional film. It's about baseball, but the slogan for the film, or the quote that everybody knows is, "If you build it, he will come." Right, and I think that rings true in a lot of like businesses where you're providing a service. So for us, it was like I'd kind of, from a group's perspective, we kind of maxed out where we can get to, right? And we were finding that some children wanted to do additional one-to-ones, but didn't have the time or capacity to do that. And also found that there were some children you couldn't put into certain groups because they weren't ready yet. Yeah, and groups could be overwhelmed, especially for the younger ages. You've got children that are going to be overwhelmed. So I spoke with my missus and we said, right, well, let's build the 4G Astro at home. So rather than just getting the standard Garden Astro, it's the 4G Stadium Astro. Garden's sizable enough that we can now do one-to-ones and two-to-ones at home. And again, it was kind of that ethos. Right, you didn't know that would take off. Had no idea, but kind of going down that line of if you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
Providing the products, right? Yeah. So that's kind of what we're on at the moment. Is just really trying to make sure that.
So you knew you had the right product, and you know, like you said, you've built it, you've got it. So how did you navigate yourself around the social media mold world that would just send anyone into a frenzy if you're not used to it? The branding, because you look extremely smart. We won't miss you in the dark.
No, do you know
but
what?
It looks good, and the branding's on point. And I've been at sessions where I've seen all your lads turn up. Even through to when I get the train from Chafford sometimes, and I think, should I put his wipers up? Should I put his wipers up before I get on the train?
Yeah.
All those things. How did you navigate through that? Did you get any help, or was it just stuff that you?
Yeah. So the training kit was never my idea. I'm a goalie coach. Yeah, I'm going to make you. I didn't
want to say that, Dan. That's why I asked the question.
Yeah, no. But I'm going to be honest. I'm a goalie coach. So I wanted the crux of it is I'm going to help your children fall in love with a position that I love, and in doing that, I'm going to make them better goalkeepers, hopefully. And I'm going to try and keep them in the game as long as I can. If that means they can become professionals, fantastic. But if it means that when they're adults and they still love football through goalkeeping, then great. As a byproduct of that, we train before the Astros. We train on grass, and at the moment, there's no grass. It's mud.
Yeah.
So I was getting some disgruntled parents. Getting frustrated that the new football kits that they've gone out and bought their children are getting wrecked over the pitches that we were training on. So it was actually some of the parents that said, have you thought about doing a training kit? Now I know that there's ways around it, and I think we have now explored and reached out. We've got we sell goalkeeper gloves now. But I know there's opportunities to go into like.
Put a link in the bio where you can buy some.
We will do that. But yeah. I know that you can do stuff through Pakistan and kind of get cheaper and almost use that as a revenue stream, but that was never the aim, and that's something we've done. So I thought, well, what we'll do is we'll try and go a little bit more expensive with the quality of the material with the company that we use. So we went with Avec. I knew that the sizing was very similar to Nike, and at the time it was all navy. So we just went, right, there's the link. And again, learning, I was doing the orders. So people are giving me the money and I'm doing the orders, and then I've got boxes upon boxes of all these training kits. At this point, we're now probably up to 35 to 40 goalkeepers, all these different sizes, and I'm sat there writing down their names on each packet, putting them all in together to then take to training on 2 nights now, because we've now progressed onto a Monday and a Wednesday, and hand these kits out. Eventually got to the stage where like this can't come out. The new style come out, so with the new style we didn't write, well, we're going to, because it's always been navy, so we'll go, and then navy was because we wanted a dark colour that wouldn't ruin if they were training. At this point we're now on an Astro, so it's not as we're not as concerned about the stuff getting caked in mud. So we'll go bright yellow, you're a goalkeeper, I want you to be able to be seen, and navy, as they released it, and then I'd spoken to Avec about getting a club shop. So it then took away that burden of me having to try and collate everything, and you always get bits and pieces missed on kit orders. Anyone that's done it would know. And at the time, we weren't even getting a printed. It was John Whiteman at James Fred's.
Yeah.
John, so I was getting the box in, driving to John. John was doing the printing as he was starting his firm out, getting it back for him and then handing it out. It was such a convoluted process.
Yeah.
But yeah, that kind of happened. And then with the socials, I think like most people do, just trial and error. If I look back at some of the posts, getting so many of them wrong. Where you and I would sit there and think this is going to...
It's a full-time job in itself.
Yeah, so...
To stand on top of it.
I use AI a little bit, like a lot of people do. But
it's a tool there to be used.
But make sure that there's a personal part to it. But yeah, you must have done this. I look at some of the videos or pictures I put back, and you know when you think this is going to go off, like, and it just doesn't. And then you're refreshing on your phone, and you're like 23 views, and you think it's been up for 3 hours. Like, what's going on? Where is everybody?
Yeah, it's from my perspective, there'll be a photo that I know has taken huge amounts of effort, skill as a photographer, and it will get next to nothing. I can post a snapshot which I've just off the cuff just seen something, and it'd be quite funny, quite amusing. Zero thought process going there, just instinct.
Yeah.
And it will blow up. And as a creative, you're like, what?
Yeah.
But all my hard work, but it means something. It's whatever catches. So I think with it, like you said, there's no rhyme or reason. Silly things come into play. Of time of day you post, and I think that's something that we all have to learn.
I think the algorithms and I think the platforms now, there's enough technology out there that tells you when your customer base is there looking at the phones or on the platforms. I mean, going back, you came in and obviously done some work for us in the early stages, recording some of the sessions. The videos that you put together were phenomenal, but I never had the reach.
Yeah.
So you're then looking at like your creative is really good, but no one's seen it because no one knows who we are.
Yeah.
Now I would have hazard a guess if we had that style video, it was obviously a long form video in comparison to what gets uploaded now. If that got posted with the traction we've got now, that's getting double, treble the reach. So just trying to understand now. I think a lot of people put up, and we do the same thing. You put up clips of kids making saves.
Yeah.
Well, I am going to start to go down the route of trying to coach online as well, because there's a lot of kids. Goalkeeping or sport football, it is doing the extras is a luxury.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any parent that's involved will know how expensive it can be, and it is a luxury. And not everybody's in a situation whereby they can have that luxury, but it doesn't mean they shouldn't be able to get that resource or opportunity, or that knowledge. And it's trying to deliver that. So and sometimes, you're trying to go about delivering it in the right way. And perhaps something that we're looking at, and there's a few out there that are doing it, do really well with it, is uploading videos. I don't know it's not long form, but it's not short. But it's like a mini series of this is how you do X, Y, Z, almost like a tutorial.
Yeah, like shorts or whatever they call it.
Yeah, I think that's something we're looking at trying to do to try and reach the audience that can't necessarily get to our sessions for whatever reasons. But even that, like I said, you find, and I think this is the bit trying to get hardened to, is that you see, and we've had it, you put stuff up and then people want to shoot you down. And you think,
let them shoot away.
But you think, just trying to help.
Yeah.
Like,
you're always going to get, it doesn't matter what you do, there's always going to be somebody that's got something to say.
Yeah.
You could be the international puppy rescuer from little puppies in damsel in distress, mate. You'd still be a villain to somebody on social media, and that's the reality of it. You're never going to win.
But when you have
can't let it bother you.
But when you do it private, when you have your personal account, it's just your friends on there. Let's be honest. I think the private one, I think the social media platform side of things is changing anyway. Because let's be honest, like, I just suspect to my friends, I don't use my private one anymore. I've got it, but I barely use it, if at all. I use my business account. I post on it. It's a marketing tool, is what it is. I understand that the better the creative, the more views we're going to get. But there's been stuff like my missus jokes about, because Jade runs a coaching business as well, JT Coaching, and she's put a picture up or a video up of one of the girls, and I think it boomed to like 70, 80,000 within days, and I'm there on like 2,000. Not that it's any metric, but do you get my point? And it was like, hers was literally just a video of one of the kids not even doing football, it was like a little dance after she scored, but it blew up.
Yeah.
So trying to understand it is a minefield.
My TikTok, I put Arthur on there once, inviting Jared Bowen to his birthday party when he was about 4, and then promptly sang the song "Bowen's on Fire."
Yeah.
And I think I got 1 million views, and I'd spent tireless amount of hours trying to come up with content previous to that that averaged 120, 200 if you was lucky. And then bang, put a kid on there just so, and I thought, do you know what, this is mad, I'm just going to do whatever. And that's what we do, and we still get seen.
But it's the relatability though, isn't it? I think that's what, when you're doing this, is going like, what, and I've had to understand this, is what I think looks good is not, it's not about me.
No.
And again, it's, with a lot of this, it's like, I don't have an ego. Like maybe I did as a I probably did as a player. Definitely did as a player.
No comment.
Yeah, definitely did as a player. I'm certainly told by managers enough I had an ego. But I think with this, you have to be so humble and you have to have a level of humility that you leave the ego at the door. I'm not posting for me. Yeah. I'm posting. If I'm posting stuff of the kids that we're training with, I'm posting. I'll be blunt. I'm using those kids in those videos to try and create opportunities and avenues for them. Yeah, the better the videos look and the better the kids look, I'm not silly, the more opportunities that will come our way, because in terms of clubs will see this and will go, oh, have you got a goalkeeper, or can you do this, or can we collab, or whatever it may be. And then it's essentially realising that what we've built, as much as I own this, it's a community, and we're trying to create as many opportunities as we can for people within that community. And that doesn't necessarily have to mean as a pro. We're looking, we can get onto this, we're looking at stuff in the US, we're trying to help with scholarships for kids that who know or don't want to be a professional footballer. But yeah, you can use social media for a very, very good way, or strong way, to be able to create all those opportunities. But going into it at first, it was an absolute, I mean, TikTok, I was like, I can't do TikTok at all. And I'm trying to integrate towards it. My main ones, for people that are watching this, is the main ones that you'll see us on. It's predominantly going to be Instagram, and it's going to be Facebook, and it'll be that crossover because it's Meta. I can post on one, and it will cross over. So that's predominantly where we're at.
No.
With that.
Get your TikTok sorted. That's where it's at.
Yeah, I know.
It's where the kids are.
I know.
I'm going to ask you a personal question now, Danny.
Mm-hmm.
How much of an impact has this business had on you personally, in personal life? How much of a strain does it have?
A lot. I think the burnout that you get is real. I've got a full-time job as well, so you're trying to balance. And I probably haven't said this too much, but one of the main reasons I retired from football was because I wanted to do this instead. I do miss playing football. I'd lying if I said I didn't. There's times when I look back at pictures and I'm like, I wish I could. Well, not necessarily wish I could still play, because I can still play. But maybe I took for granted at times because I was in burnout, that when I was getting frustrated because I felt tired. But trying to juggle 9 to 5, 5 to 9, 3 times a week, football in between those two, So when I was playing, it's important to know I was doing 9 till 5 and then 6 till whenever. Yeah, you got Newmarket away. I'm not getting in till 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Not sleeping because you're buzzing on adrenaline. And then Saturdays, like I said, this weekend I'm coaching 8:30, 8:15 8:30 till just shy of 5 o'clock. So physically, it takes a lot out of your body, and I think that's where I was struggling with the playing, because I'd be then going to games and not being in a situation where I could give everything because my body was telling me you need to stop, basically. And then mentally, I think there's the tiredness. Eventually, it happens. You probably get it quarterly, which is why it's nice to have. And I've only just, like, last year was the first time in 5 years that I'd had a proper break where I was like, right, we're not. I had that like unhealthy level of anxiety where you think, oh well, if I don't coach this week, they're going to go somewhere else. I'm going to lose. The business is going to fail if I don't coach. And they're trying to keep things open. They can't afford to keep it open because everyone else is on holiday, but you're paying bills for venues that no one's at because they're away, and you're panicking. And you're chasing this, and then you're like that level of stress. But I think 5 years in now, I'm learning to try and deal with the pressures that come with it. So yeah, it has taken. It does have a toll on you. I'm not the sort of character. I'm trying to teach the kids when we coach that you turn up and that you're consistent, and that if you sign up to something, that you do it, no matter what. Yeah, and you put your name to something, you work hard.
Yeah.
So I don't cancel sessions. I'm known for not cancelling sessions. So
yeah. A little bit off topic, but I agree with the cancelling sessions. I don't understand it. It needs to be done. I go with the majority, should we say. My viewpoint on cancelling sessions for rain or whatever, I think it just installs a mentality of when it gets tough, we stop. And that's the only reason I'll still, if it's like the other week we tried, and we ended up walking ice cubes because it was so cold, so wet.
Yeah.
That was like, look, we need to come off. Like, this is now silly. This is dangerous to someone's health. If you like.
I think it's too.
But a lot of the time we cancel them, it'll only be because we might have a lad that's asthmatic.
Yeah.
And if it's really damp, really cold, then we won't want them to suffer. But if it's just rain and we're good, then I'm like, no, don't get cancelled.
I've got two points. I agree with you. I've got 2 points. I think I will only cancel them if my insurance is void. Which it's cheeky when venues keep places open when they know that if it's frozen and you get a child to train on that, you're negligent, and therefore your insurance would find a way to void that claim if a claim came in, or if it compromised the product, which is the session. If I can't deliver the session how I want to deliver it, now it's been windy this week, so I wanted to work on. We're in a phase at the moment we're working on dominating the area, right? So, and that's for all ages, but I want them to command and dominate the 6, the 12, the 18 yard box, whatever it is. And that's going to be through 1v1 scenarios. It's going to be through whether you come at aggressive start positions and smother the ball, whether you block the ball, getting in position, getting down the line of the ball. That could be dealing with crosses and high balls. So I wanted to deal with an element of it this week. I wanted to deal with high balls. Now, I've got kids in the first group that are young. Now, as much as they might not be able to deal with headers at their age, I still think it's good that they start to get used to dealing with high ball scenarios and not being worried about coming and trying to catch a ball and dropping it. Well, if the first time I'm trying to teach them it's a gale force wind, I'm not going to cancel training. I'm just not going to do that topic. I'm now going to actually go, well, we're going to focus on this. But we have had once or twice where you're there and you're like, this is the kids can't get anything out of this. They're not enjoying this. Again, leave the ego at the door and go, right, as much as I want to do this session and I'm this good, I'm this coach and I can do this and I can do that, it's not working. So let's just wipe our mouths, move on, we'll do it again next week. But I often put messages in our chat going, yes, it's raining. If you're a new starter, yes, we are training. Right. Get used to it. We live in England.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think it's 100% right. I think unless it's unsafe, like you say, insurance reasons and safety reasons, I just think too many people shy away from poor weather. But then that is a culture of coaching where it's sometimes dads. So we have to be a little bit mindful that these people have got jobs and don't want to be ill themselves and stuff. But to me, I think it's. I don't think we're just teaching kids football. Personally, I think I always say this to my groups. Even I've got as you know, I've got under 17s and I've got under 10s. And my attitude is, I'm shaping you to be a man. I've got a lot more responsibility than you just kicking a ball, and I take that responsibility seriously. I'll talk to them. Like, funny enough, we're over in a little spell. The under 10s, they've gone on a run for the last 18 months, nearly 2 years, of just demolishing everybody. Mm-hmm. Now they've reached their peak, and now guess what? It's happening to them. Yeah. And don't tell them off. Go out to trade rest. I never refuse to tell them off. Yeah. No one makes a mistake on purpose. But now, only you, and this was my words to him, only you can get yourself out of this situation, because now you need to learn and come together.
Mm-hmm.
And especially, and funny enough, we spoke about Max,
Yeah.
our goalkeeper, and I said, boys, he needs you more than ever. I said, he saved you on so many occasions.
Yeah.
I said, but now the level and the quality of striker that he's now against, or midfield, or whatever it might be, is just that little bit better, where they're now starting to creep in. Where he's been able to keep them out at the levels, now it's a little bit harder for him.
Yep.
Now you've got to pick him up. Now you've got to let him know it's all right. And it's those little things we're installing in them to go on to do. If they walk away from football, at least as human beings, they've got
resilience, and it's for starters, it's resilience. But you're right, it's that compassion and that ability to work together as a team. And I think it serves you well. I had this as a player, and I know somebody's going through this. I know someone's going through this at the moment, right? Where, and I'll keep it kind of vague, but because I know there's a lot of goalkeepers who've had this, right? So you start the season, and you'll be doing okay, right? Your performances are all right, and especially in the non-league, you get this because the lack of goalkeeping coaching. So I've experienced this. You get in a situation whereby you might win a couple, you might lose a couple, but the performances they're okay, or you might keep clean sheets, but things are steady, and then things turn, and things can turn because of injuries, or players leave, or whatever it is. But the dynamic in the team changes, and all of a sudden, the goalkeeper's conceding more than what they were before, and things change within the team, but you're still conceding. And then what happens is, as a goalkeeper, it's the worst thing you do is you try to impact the game. So you're chasing. It's a reactionary position. Yes, you can have proactive stances. You can have aggressive start positions. Yeah, you can communicate quicker and earlier to try to help things before they happen. But a cross comes in, you got to come get it. Shot comes in, you got to save it. Yeah, ball comes through, you got to come get it. It's a reactionary position. And then what happens is the goalkeeper will make some saves. They'll get beat, but he'll be like, or he or she, but they've made saves. If it weren't for them, it would have been 4 or 5, but he lost 2-1. Yeah, not for them, it could have been this or that. And what happens, especially in the non-league, is you play Saturday, Tuesday, or Saturday, Wednesday, whatever it may be, but now you're not training because you're playing midweek. And what happens in that period where you're playing midweek is you get beat, you're not making any saves. Because you're not training, you're not doing any reps. So from a confidence point, you are now on a decline massively. And unless you've got a strong goalie coach who's basically there backing you, saying, look, I know this doesn't look good, but ride it out, and they're trying to use their experience. But even that doesn't necessarily help, because I've had that. You then get into a situation whereby you are now doing things in your game that you would not normally do. You are coming for balls that are not yours, or you are making mistakes, technical mistakes, because mentally you're not there. And then it's like, right, got to change the goalie. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rather than fix
but what
the
people
problem.
aren't seeing is that problem for that goalkeeper has actually been there since the start. Yeah, and it's essentially neglect, right?
Yeah.
And it happens so often. I had this about 25 years old, and I was very, very, very lucky that when I left the club where stuff was going wrong, the next club it boomed for me, and that set me up for the later part of my career. But I'd had this, yeah, and then what you don't get is that goalies get that anxious feeling. Grassroots kids will have this as well. Another goalie comes to training. Like that's not a nice feeling. That's not a nice feeling. But it's weird because then you're coaching the goalkeeper. You might be coaching the goalkeeper that's there trying to take another goalkeeper's place. Mm. Yeah, but there is only one space, so it's really hard, and each different part it's hard to deal with. Does that make sense where I'm going with that? But then when you look at it and you see people go, he's no good. Has he made that mistake or whatever it may be? And you're like, you haven't actually seen that in the last 5 weeks he hasn't done one goalie session. He hasn't made a single save in training. He hasn't had to practice on crosses because there's been no time. And then the players in front of him are injured or whatever it may be, and that dynamic has changed. And all of a sudden, you're like, the goalie ain't good enough. And like, he was good enough to play me before.
So is that where you think football's getting it wrong?
I think there's a couple of bits. It could be controversial, but I think that's one. I think that's one. I think that's one. But I also think that comes from the last. And I can remember hearing this, and I can't remember what podcast. It might have been Richard Lee's, the Goalkeepers Union, but I've heard goalie coaches say this: is the last thing that the manager sees before the ball hits the net is the goalie. So the first thing he questions is the goalie. And that does happen. That does happen. And you get the standard rubbish of, has he been beat or he's near post? He's just got to come through people. What? What are you talking about? Come through people. So if the ball comes in, you've got 4 players in front of you, you want to come smash through 4 players. And bear in mind what the game's like now and how soft it is, potentially give a penalty away. But I don't know if anyone's done this, but if you do this exercise when you're on, hold the ball up above you, right? And jump. And as you jump, just get someone to do this to your arm, yeah? See if you still hold that ball. That's with no force, just a little push. And you watch how embarrassing it is when the ball falls out your hand. And you've got to be stronger. So, no, if I'm jumping in mid-air and someone nudges you, you are off balance. Doesn't matter how strong you are. Right? The game has changed. We're not playing when Schmeichel was a goalie and you could be 15 stone because you didn't have to come out your box.
Yeah.
I forget that. And the ball comes down with snow on it, so it is basically get underneath it and a standing jump. These balls are getting whipped in, the balls are lighter, fizzed across. It's hard to deal with. And it's not an excuse, but it's hard to deal with. You're not comparing apples to apples when we watched football in the 90s. It's a different game. And that kind of goes on to what you just asked, like kind of going back to what's right and wrong. You watch people criticise coaches for teaching certain things. I watched Fabian Barthez in the early 2000s set himself putting his shorts up. If you watch Barthez, he used to grab his shorts, pull them, and that was his set position. I watched countless Premier League years, and obviously I grew up in the 90s, of watching Peter Schmeichel get chipped and beat from distance because he was setting 5 yards off of his line, which we know now is not effective. Ironically enough, right? It was back then, but it's not. Yeah, it's not what's done. We watch David Raya set moving his feet like that. Yeah, I've told my entire life, keep your feet still. Keep your weight distributed through the front part of your foot. I watched Manuel Neuer set really, really wide. I know we're going a bit technical here, yeah? But they all played international football. They're all fantastic goalkeepers in their own right. So again, going back to the point I made earlier, I'm kind of elaborating a little bit, but so then to see comments of going, no, that's not correct. These people have probably watched one seminar with Eric Steele, yeah, or have played. And the other thing that does you is like they've played. You get them, and you see this on the outfield side as well. Ex-professional. Like you're probably a 1-year pro at Stockport County, been loaned out in the non-league, and now don't play. But you class yourself as a professional. You're advertising yourself as a pro. Like that's actually false for starters.
Yeah, it's false advertisement.
False advertisement. And then you go into the grassroots, you obviously see this. And I know that I know Nicky Ayres mentioned this on his socials recently. I've been genuinely banging on about this for years. He gets to the stage, I struggle to watch mini soccer for it. When they get a free kick, and it's just like, right, get the kid who can hit the ball the hardest at the goal and just attack the goalkeeper. Like, how's that football? And you've seen it, yeah? So what they should do, realistically, if you've got a free kick, not only should they do a wall, is that should be the line that all the kids start at. So if it's 10 yards, you go, right, you all have to stand on here until the ball's struck. Now I know that gets rid of the heading, but they can't hit the ball. So they're not going to cross it. So what we're basically encouraging kids to do at the moment is shoot at the goal and throw the goalkeeper in. And it's not going to be a foul because the person refereeing it it's probably somebody's dad, so he doesn't really know what to do, or it's a young kid.
Yeah.
So that would be one of the things. Is an easy solution. I'm on a bit of a rant here, but you've got mini soccer teaching the kids why do they do the retreat rule? I'll ask you, what's the retreat there to do?
I would have said, well, I don't know the answer.
No, but
obviously enough. If it was just me, common sense, I've always thought it was more just to get the play started. So if you had a stronger side, for example, they just have them penned in, and the other team, it gives that team an opportunity to play out and get out.
But play out.
Play out is what I would have guessed.
So it encourages. I mean, you see a lot of people criticising the 3v3 formats that are coming in, and the change. I think the format. There's been a lot of issues where I wish goalkeepers could play down. Yeah, I know that one of my colleagues, Alfie Shaw, does it, and it works. And Alfie does it because he's age.
Alfie's dual signed with me.
Yeah, Alfie's like 4 days.
Yeah,
and he could be in the he's closer to the year below. But you're going to get kids, unless you get kids that are genetically advanced, right? When they go from 7 to 9, it's a big difference. But when they go 9 to 11, like I'm 6'2", and I struggle to defend an 11 cycle. You're then asking a 13-year-old at 5'6", he ain't good enough, I've got to get a new goalie. And it kills the game, because as long as these kids get within 25 yards and they can shoot relatively high, so it becomes a farce. So
I think that's one of the reasons they've changed, haven't they? They're extending
the time
nine aside,
and sevens as well. I think sevens is
sevens. They all extend.
Yeah. But the whole point with the retreat, the whole point is to make the game more realistic, and then with the retreat is to, like, when we watch the way football's played now, whether it's the right or, again, there is no right or wrong way. Football is played just score more goals than the other team. If that means you've got to pass the ball more, then great. If it means you've got to be a bit more direct, I'd imagine West Ham fans at the moment would probably, as much as they were critical of managers in the past, some of those managers were relatively successful in comparison to what they've seen lately. I know at Chelsea, I'm watching the centre halves pass the ball 45 times before going forward. It's boring. However, you can't deny that the game now is far more technical than what it was in the 90s, right? In terms of the players that you've got. So you've got a retreat rule to try to get the players on the ball. And then they get rid of the retreat rule, and I watch the goalkeepers run to the edge of the box and punt it. I'm like, why? And punt it down the middle as well, so it's wrong. So it's not even like a proper counter, it's just rush and punt. Yeah. That's no different to when I played as a child. Like, no, surely somebody, again, I can't criticise too much, but if you're coaching the kids, there is the word coach, you do have to teach. Get them to play. I'm not saying it's the right way all the time, but at least don't just disregard what you've done as a baby. Do you get what I mean?
Totally. It's like you say, it's fun. They need to explore every avenue to be able to do everything.
Yep.
In my sense, so there's going to be. We have that with, like, say, the under 10s. They play at a good level. So some weeks we have to tell them, look, I know we've been training to play this way, but we're going to change that today. Yep. And you're going to go long because the pitch is bad, or this is bad, or that, or we're getting no success through that middle. We're getting bullied, so now we're going to do this.
You got to play,
and they've got. I think it's important for them to learn.
I can't remember
different ways, but they need to learn it properly, like you said.
Yeah.
Like, so if you're going to kick it, don't just punt it down the middle. Learn to play out to your channels, make the angles, I suppose.
I can't remember who the manager was, but this again, I watch when I'm looking at socials. It's just filled with. I'm a coach. It's just filled with coaching material all the time, and he's in the Football League, and I really wish I knew his name, because I'd actually tell you what the podcast was to look at. It was really good, but he basically says it's first team level. He doesn't coach them to play a certain way. He coaches them to deal with a certain press.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's such a good way, especially if you're teaching goalkeepers. Because I teach, and a frustration I teach the kids how to play out and how I would play. And anyone that watched me play knew I liked to play out in the back. Didn't really like kicking it on as much as I could. I'd just take it out my legs. I'd rather just pass, to be honest. Being able to teach them to be able to play out against a single press, being able to play out if they've got two centre forwards, or if they're playing with a front three, what line do you take up as a goalkeeper? When I grew up, you used to go behind the defenders. The trend now is to go on the same line, try and create where you can create your overload. Quite often when I played, I would receive it off the left side centre half or left back. I'm not even looking. I just know touch, my fullback's there. Yeah, I know that if I did that 2 times, that the winger's going to drop in to shut that off, which means now my next pass I don't need to know. I know that it's going to go straight to my centre half because that's been shut off. I do that a couple of times. Left winger's going to creep forward. I can go back into my fullbacks. Game of cat and mouse, really. But you're trying to teach these patterns, because the thing that we all have with football when we watch it, and the frustrations is how slow it can be. Yeah, like speed up. Everyone's like, come on, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. Well, if you know the picture, that's what the best players do. They painted the picture and they see the picture quicker. Well, the frustrating part is I'm teaching the children that, right, if you're playing in a seven-a-side, the easier passes. I've got one with Mason. The defender passes to him to start the goal kick. Right? I love that. But once they've done that, you've then got to teach the pattern afterwards.
Yeah.
So Mason's like, why do we do that? Well, the reason is because now, when they give it to you, you've got the ball. The press, typically at that age, is under 10. Typically at that age, you're just going to get someone run straight towards you. Don't pass it until they're about 2 yards from you. Pass it to the side. But you can choose now, you can go right or left. And you've just taken that one out of the game. So now you've got your overload.
Yeah.
You understand? But unless it's actually coached that once they've passed it to him and now the ball's in play where they stand, do you get what I mean? It's almost like, right now you just deal with it.
Yeah. But do you not think this is where goalkeepers get let down I suppose let down, overlooked in coaching, especially at grassroots level? Where there's, be honest, I wouldn't know I only know the bits I know to teach my goalkeeper because of things that I've picked up from watching yourself.
Yeah. But
do you think they get overlooked?
A goal kick is a set piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a set play. Yeah, and it's a restart. They do get overlooked, but I think they get overlooked because people don't understand how to coach that.
Yeah.
That's why. But then they don't want to seek out necessarily, or can't afford to seek out the advice. But I'm talking here, when I'm saying about there is a blending between grassroots and non-league, and even in a football league, you see people playing out for the sake of playing out. The whole idea, when you're trying to play football, in my opinion, is 11v11. You are trying to create an overload somewhere on the pitch, and you need to exploit that overload. So you either do that numerically, which is where tactics come into it, or you do it individually, where you'll have a player, and we have one at Grays, Aaron Gordon, for example, that you have a player that is skillful enough to bypass a player, and then you create your overload that way. The next part for me is then, can we get behind the back line of the opposition? So if that's the aim, realistically, to try and get behind the back line, having people press you isn't a problem. You need to be able to track their press. Now what happens is you get your goalkeeper played to your centre half, they get a bit of pressure, everybody panics, and it gets booted long. But you're playing a front three against the back four, they've got +1, you give the ball away. It's going to happen every time. Realistically. What you might have is that centre half might head it down in a bad position, but there was a mistake, so you're relying on a mistake from the opposition. You might regain it in the middle third, and then that three will hope for one of your midfielders to join, and then you can attack. But even that is still 4v4. Yeah, you with me?
Yeah.
So I'm going, right, I want you to play out, I want you to attract a press. I'm not saying overplay. Yeah, I'm saying attract a press enough that they bite, and then when they bite, miss that press out. Now you can either miss that press by going through it, round it, or over it. And I sound like I've swallowed a textbook here, but that's the way to do it, yeah? But when you're doing it, be composed with it. If you're going to go over it, don't just shell the ball, right? If you're going to play through it, don't just give it to the nearest person because it's safe. And this is where coaching comes into it. So that rehearsal, no different how you would do a phase of play for the middle third and do your attacking patterns. Yeah, whether you get your, again, I know I sound like sort of textbook here, but whether you get your winger to roll inside, whether you get your winger to roll inside and you get your fullback on out to create an overload there, or any rotations, you should still be doing that at the back, because if you do that from a goal kick, people will jump, and when they jump, then if you've got an attacking line that's quick, and you can create that overload, you've now got a straight race between the halfway line and the goal. Why would you not practice that?
Yeah, exactly.
But I can tell you now, because I have my entire playing, they don't do it. You just got to have a goalkeeper that, if the goalkeeper understands tactically where to play, then at the lower levels, at Football League, it is done. You'd hope. But at the lower levels, you're relying on a goalkeeper being savvy to be able to pick that out.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, if they get it wrong and the other team score, you have to know that that's coming back at you and it's going to be your fault. they'll never take the blame for it. It will typically be the goalie's fault for making an error.
Which is also harsh to always say is an error for a goalkeeper is normally a goal. Little Timmy can put about 6 over the bar and score 2 towards the end, and he's all forgiven.
Yeah.
It's a bit harsh.
But going to what you said about the not cancelling training for rain.
Yeah.
Resilience. You should try and like if I can get you to train in these 6 weeks where it's freezing cold, covered in mud, and you still enjoy it. Probably wired slightly different, but you've got a level of resilience that if you would hope something like that happens, that it doesn't completely kill you, that it would upset you, but at least we can get over it rather than somebody that doesn't have that level of mental toughness.
Yeah. So obviously I know you've got a few boys that have been really successful, gone on to academies such as Tottenham and things like that. What's your main overview? I know we've got the success stories, but obviously there's a hell of a lot there where it's not successful. What's your thought process? Are they a good thing, academies at a young age? Are they a tie?
I'll ask you a question.
Oh dear.
I'll count that with a question. If you had and you might do this, I don't know, but and I know this might come across personal. If you had the opportunity, let's say, and everybody had his finances weren't a thing, and you could put Arthur into private school,
yeah,
to give him what was perceived a better education, would you do it?
It's a tricky one. If you're talking about Arthur, what schooling he's getting, if he's right now, I probably wouldn't.
Okay.
And that's a personal thing, because I think growing up in the real world, it didn't do me any harm, if that makes sense. However, if he wasn't doing as well as he is currently, like let's just say, for example, he was like me, and he needed a little bit more one-to-one time with the teacher.
I'm assuming Arthur's quite academic.
Yeah, he's doing quite well. But let's just strip that back and say, right, okay, he was like me, who I struggled at school massively because I didn't have I needed a lot of attention, and there was no such thing as TAs when I was in class. 100% yes. Yeah. 100% yes. So I would want him to have the best. So I know I get where you're coming with that question to me, but
the theme there is that it's perceived, not always the case, and that's why you're saying that you can counter that. But it's perceived that a private education would potentially open up more doors.
100%, totally get it.
Right? Doesn't always do it, because the individual still has to perform.
Yeah.
Right? And you can throw as much money at someone you like. If they don't, must lead a horse to water, but you can't make it.
Yeah.
However, how it relates to academy football is that if you have an opportunity to send your child to have coaching from everybody in the building is A licensed or B licensed as a prerequisite. We know that. The players around them are all like-minded, as in you are what you surround yourself by. They all want to be pros.
Yeah.
It's the most hyper-competitive, non-competitive environment you'll ever be in. If you think about it, it's dog eat dog, but they don't even keep score when they play.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do I think it's a good thing? Yes, I do. I do believe it. I think it offers unbelievable memories for families, like unbelievable. A lot of those memories will be in the car. Yeah, and the way the Cat 1 system works now, you could be playing at West Ham or Tottenham, but you could have Man United or Man City on a Sunday. That's a strain on the family. But that journey that you get to have and that experience that you get to have, and the photos now that you're able to take, that'll live you. That you never ever. I mean, that'll live you forever. You'll never not have that. You can, does it add stress? Yes. I think a lot of families underestimate the burden that it causes, especially if you're 2 or 3 kids in. If you're a one-child family, fair enough. But when you've got other children that've got other aspirations and goals themselves, like it's full on. It is full on. So there is a lot there. 0.01%, I think it's a stat. That are going to make it. Is your son or daughter going to make it? It's probably not. Statistically speaking, probably not. Will they get even more resilient? Will they grow up quicker? Probably, yeah. So that little child that you want to keep sweet and innocent, they're going to harden up because they understand that they're actually competing to try and achieve something. we all have a dream, don't we, as a kid? And
Yeah.
it sounds like Simon Squid, but we all have a dream, and you
Love Simon Squid, by the way.
but he, I mean, he's one of those that everyone should have a dream, shouldn't they? And everybody and children should be made to feel that they can pursue that dream as much as they possibly can. So yeah, I feel like the academy system they are getting it better as well. There was no aftercare with me when I was at Millwall. It was just my dad got a phone call, said son's been it wasn't even son's been released. It was basically being phased out, and my dad just went, well, we'll leave. I didn't see them kids again until I played against them. Now there is aftercare. The clubs do it properly. The crossover where it's hard is the EDC side, the elite development centres. That can be a little bit saturated. But the clubs are doing it right. What the clubs are trying to do, the ones that we deal with, they are trying to see as many kids as they can to get them on a database to see whether or not they've got potential, and they will work with them. They will treat them correctly, in large. The hard part is that if you've got a talented child, and if parents do listen to this, the EDCs, or the pre-academy stages, they have goalkeeping coaches there, but in my opinion, a lot of these clubs, they don't prioritise goalkeepers at that age. They don't. And you can tell that some will have a goalkeeping coach, but if they have a goalkeeping coach, it's a very young junior goalkeeping coach that's teaching, that probably hasn't played himself. And I don't mean they have to play, but he's not going to be as experienced as the lead academy goalie coach. And what you'll find is that the kids will go, and sometimes they'll make up numbers, sometimes they'll be cannon fodder for the kids to have shots at. But because the goalkeeper will be a talented goalkeeper, if you're in our catchment, it's not uncommon for you to be at Chelsea, West Ham, Arsenal, Watford, Spurs, all at the same time, Ipswich. And you could have that there at 2 or 3 of these across the week. Crystal Palace would be another one. But unless you're getting dedicated goalkeeping coaching, you are going to get overtaken by kids that aren't there, but that are going and getting coached and playing at a good level, whether that's Echo A, B or C. And that's no disrespect to the other Echo leagues, no. But you get what I mean. Those ones are the more dominant divisions. And I know we don't keep score, but we all know what we are. Yeah. To JPL football, again, that can be saturated because we see some of the score lines which are silly. But there's people out there that are trying to do the right thing, and you look at, again, I've got no affiliation to these, so just shout them out. You look at finesse, limitless, balanced, levels, proverbs. They're all trying to do the same thing. They're all trying to replicate the academy model to a degree, and are trying to push those kids towards there. There are only a finite amount of space, and there is a lot of talented footballers about. So you are going to get a situation where there's going to be a lot of kids that are rejected. As a country, will we benefit? Yes, with creating better footballers. Yeah. And it's getting harder to get in. That he knows so and so, and he knows so and so. Like it used to be back in the day, that's why he was signed. Like, nah. I know this myself. You put a child through, there might be six coaches there. You need the majority to sign off. You might know one person, but
might get you through a door. It doesn't get you through.
Yeah, you've got to be good, and you've got to be dedicated to it, and that's not just the child, the family. You've got to be.
So you finished there with family. So what advice? Educate me as a dad, a young budding footballer.
Yeah.
What can we do better as parents? What's the positive steps a parent can take? Because we all think that we know what we're doing and we're pushing and we're doing this and doing that. But
be patient. Be patient. I know I've had this with kids I coach, and I know that it will happen, right? Kids will grow at different rates. We all know that, and I think. And I'm sorry if you're bigger or shorter, and I think I don't know if it was Phil Roberts that said this at Balanced, but you have a situation. You know, what certainly was Phil did it at Balanced on that Ball at All Cost podcast. I think I listened to it on, but you will get children that will grow. And as an adult, they're going to be, statistically, they're going to be around about as footballers. You'll get some that are smaller, but the average will be between 5'9" and 6'3" or whatever it is. It isn't that much of a difference, right? But as they're growing up, you're going to have kids at 12 that are going to be 6 foot and kids at 12 who are going to be 5 foot. Yeah, and it's physically, some are going to be massively matured and look like men, some are going to look like infants. I wouldn't write off be really patient. Now, in terms of their technical development, right, and I say this speaking with goalkeeping, I will take a child in at 5 or 6 years old. They will develop rapidly, right, because they are literally like sponges. They don't have any bad habits at that age necessarily. I can teach them how I want to teach them, and they will receive that information and digest it very, very quickly. And they will grow. And they will have comments made to them in training and at games. Who's this goalie? Oh, this goalie's unbelievable. The kids will buzz off of them, right? And then because they're very, very good at a young age, scouts will start to notice them. I've seen this happen. We've got a class, and I've used class loosely, but we've got a group of children between the ages of 6 to 9 that is incredibly strong, with most of them at pre-academies. What will happen is that kid will then stagnate, because you can't keep growing and growing and growing. If your child just grew, you'd have a 7-year-old. Do you know what I mean? Like, they can't just keep growing. And what will happen is they'll plateau and they will dip. They will have a dip. This is a journey, it's a roller coaster, right? So they will have a dip. What a lot of parents do then is they jump ship. They will then move that child to another coach, right? And these are the late ones where they get to see the kids that go everywhere. And you have to do the best by your child and what you think is child. In my opinion, having a coach that understands your child, that understands the family dynamic, that understands what's best for that child, that understands their trigger points, understands what's going on in the background, will benefit that child in the long run more than if you try and keep up with the Joneses and go, right, well, he's coaching here now and he's coaching it because it's trendy, because you're seeing other people coach. Yeah. So the main thing for me would be patient with this. They have to enjoy it. And then when they get to the teenage years, then you've got to harden up a little bit and be firm with them. This thing, and I might say controversial, I get people to phone, I'm not a pushy parent. That's a shame. That's a shame. I don't mean be pushy. If you're screaming and shouting on the side, I probably won't come watch your son because I can't listen to that. You're not playing the game, the kids are playing the game, so let the children play. But you're going to be, and I think I said to you last one, you're going to be subtle about how pushy you are. My dad had it to a T. I said to my dad that I wanted to go to a party when I had training at Millwall. And he went, yeah, that's fine, we'll go. I was like, yeah. He was like, oh, really? He went, yeah, you can go. He went, but Reece won't be there. Reece will be at training. That's all he had to say. And I come back 5 minutes with my training kit and go, come on, we'll go training. Because he knew that I wouldn't, yeah. So that's psychology. So in a way, you have to be pushy. You go, no, you've committed to this, you're doing this. But at the same time, if you don't want to do this, that's fine.
But these are the consequences.
And if you don't want to do it, I won't invest my time and money. Yeah. But if you can't turn around and go, well, I'm going to be a footballer and talk it, but then not
apply yourself
and follow the action. So the overall, there's loads of advice out there, and there's loads, and like I said, there's stuff with kids that, myself, I've got ADHD. We coach loads of kids that have got ADHD, potentially some are autistic or some are dyslexic, and they'll all ask for different types of advice as well, because it's individual to each child. And I would say, holistically, just be patient.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Right, so what we're going to just do there, could take a little break.
Yep.
We're going to whack a clip on from this podcast sponsors. Look at that, we've got sponsors now. How about that? And then we'll come straight back.
Welcome to WVE Studios, a brand new purpose-built video, photo and podcast studio right here in Wickford, Essex. Our video studio is ideal for showreels, live streams and talking head videos, with state-of-the-art lighting and audio equipment that makes your content look and sound amazing. Need stunning images? Our photo studio is a flexible 3x3 metre blank canvas, perfect for headshots, portraits and more. And with changeable studio lighting, you can create just the right look for every shoot. Plus, we offer newborn, family, pet, business photo sheets and so many others. We have a photo shoot session perfect for you. And for the podcasters, our custom-built podcast studio features 4 high-quality microphones, a large screen, and fully customizable lighting and sound effects. Perfect for audio or film sessions. Book your space today at wvstudios.co.uk.
So, welcome back. If there's, God forbid, let's just say all this, you decided to call this all a day, what would be some real takeaway memories that you've got so far? Be that a player, a situation, an achievement. What would be your highlights so far?
Cool. That one I won't prep for. That was. There's a few. There's a couple of proud moments. Like I said earlier, with the goalie gloves. That's a proud moment to have done that. Like when I'm looking at, and I've never something I didn't want to be a glove brand, but I had kids come into sessions with gloves that just weren't up to it, either too big or parents just not understanding. You're brand new to this. Do you know what I mean? So they're turning up with gloves with spines in, and I'm thinking you can't. They're 6 years old. They can't bend their fingers. They're not be able to catch the ball. And wanted to do that for years. I wanted to try and do that, and never really took the leap to do it. Did it. Long story short, we go training the other week and I see kids with a training kit with the gloves on, and you can't not. You look at this guy. We've done this. Like this started off like at the start. It started off with borrowing Scott Addison stuff. Yeah. Over at Westcliff. Right. Now we're here in the back of my car. Now I've got a branded truck, and you're like, we're here. Like we keep going back to that, and that's the bits where I get proud and you reflect back. And I was there just in the last one when you see kids get picked up and scouted. Yes, it's nice. It is nice, but watching and maybe I don't know if we can do this. I'll send you some of the pictures, and maybe we could show on the side. But like when you got like pictures of and I'm talking now, the session's just gone. This isn't one of my proudest ones, but just to give you an indication of some of the stuff. Like I've got little Josh Yuxu, Josh is year 2. Goes to trains with year 3s and 4s. You can't see his face because of the mud. You can't. Yeah, and you caked head to toe in it. Comes out, we're doing 1v1s, and Arjun has a shot, and Josh just goes like that, spreads it. It's him crude in the face, and the kid's reaction is to go like celebrate. And you're like, I'm not saying that's my proudest moment, but what I'm saying in terms of the pride is like, we've created this. We've created this community and this culture here, where that's the outcome. Like that's what we're seeing. I'm proud personally of how I've been able to evolve as a coach to be able to have a phone call. So when people typically phone or get in touch, they'll send messages, and it's the same message like, "Hi Danny," and I could tell you without even looking. As soon as I see a name, I know what the message is going to be. "Hi Danny, son plays in goal, or daughter plays in goal. They don't get any coaching currently where they're at. Are you able to help? What's your prices? Where are you based?" And I could send them the stuff, but I'm like, right, do you want to give me a call? Because I want to have a conversation about essentially what we've built. And when you then are able to talk about the kids that we've got, the success stories, the culture, and then they come and they live it, you look back and you're like, how can I not be proud of that? And part of that is as well the type of child. So one of the things I would say, and almost a sales pitch here, but there isn't anything we haven't coached so far. I mean, there probably is, but there isn't much we haven't seen. Yeah, so like I said, I've got children that are extremely academic, some children that less so. I've got children that struggle with dyslexia. I've got children that are autistic. We've got children that have got ADHD, medicated, unmedicated. Yeah, and you can't coach that all the same. What I'm proud to say is that I can send a message to a parent right now about their child, and I'll be able to know their child like that. Like, they'll be like, "Oh, that's them." So I take pride in that I know the individual. I can't. I say each school or coach has a different model. There are different business models. I'm proud with our model, and I'm not saying that our model's right, and we'll get onto this potentially, but you could scale up, but if you scale up then you lose I would lose that. I would lose the fact that at any point, and even the kids that I've previously coached, that I no longer coach, that I know them, and that regardless of where they've gone to or whatever they're on, there is a level of understanding, a level of respect, and a level of friendship. And I think that's probably the proudest thing. I mean, we're on nearly 90 goalkeepers, and to be able to say that I know 90 goalies inside out,
yeah, it's a great achievement.
Is a great achievement. And yeah, you look at where you started. Did I envisage that? No. But on the manifestation stuff, did I want to have my own facility? Yes. Did I think it would be where I live? No, but that's happened. Did I want to have a branded truck, that vehicle? Yes. Did I anticipate I would get burgled and get my previous one stolen that resulted me in making sure that I got it branded? No. So there was a lot of stuff that happened. I didn't picture it happening. Like, did I want to coach where I'm coaching now? Did I want to try and be solely on Astro? Yes. Did I expect it for it? No. Did I expect for it to go wrong? No. Like those that would know, we went 3 nights on Astro, and the rent on one of them went through the roof, and we ended up losing the other one, and kind of had to start again. And kind of proud personally to have been able to build up a level of resilience to roll with the punches when it's gone pear-shaped.
On the fly.
And I think we've done that in sessions as well. There's sessions that you take, I've planned within 5 minutes, this isn't working, and it could just be either the kids aren't getting it, but let's have it right. We live near Lakeside, it could be traffic, whatever it may be, and people haven't turned up. You've planned for 6, you've got 4. You've planned for 6, you've got 2. You've planned for 6, you've got 6, but they're on half term, so they're either wired up on sweets or they're on a come down from sweets, or whatever they've done with their mums and dads. And then also being able to still deliver a very good level of session despite the variables. And the reason that you're able to deliver that session to the level is you have to know the kids, because you know how they react.
Yeah.
Long answer, but that for me is probably what I'm proud of most.
That's brilliant. So as you said there, we've gone from a walk in the park to 90 goalkeepers. So what's next?
This has actually come quite timely, actually. I'd had a call earlier with one of the lads that I coached, Dad, who just more like a business mentor sort of thing. Just had a conversation. And there is the option of looking at potentially trying to hire out our own venue and unit and whatnot. And I thought, I'm probably at a stage now where you're looking at what's next. And I've had some good conversations with various people that are other business owners, some in the sector, some not. We won't franchise. I won't do that, because for me, the thing I'm most proud of is the connection, the relationships I've got. And if you franchise, you lose that pretty much instantly. Because I'm pretty certain I know the reasons that people come to Effective Goalkeeping, and that's not that we lost on a franchise. So I don't think we'll do that. You then look at, like I said, venue. Do we need that at the moment? Would that add I suppose a level of stress that at the moment is probably unwarranted? Yeah. So for me, really, it's going to be just consistency. It's going to be, I know that's a bit of a boring answer, but I think there's something to be said when you own a business that you don't have to just keep chasing. And I've been caught, and when you asked earlier what the effects it's had on me, it's probably been it's the fact I've always been on the chase, and not from a financial point, but always like, what's next for the kids? And if you look at the level of equipment, if I showed you pictures of the equipment we had to the start, and those that train, I'm not endorsed by Networld Sports, but I've got everything they've got. Like, and it doesn't matter how much it costs. I see it, I want to buy it. I'm a big kid. I want to use the stuff. I want to train with it. And it's like, we can get this and we can get that, and I always want to look to make sessions better. So for me, I think this next period is going to be consolidating. We've got a number of goalkeepers that we want to get to. We're nearly at that. I've got Adam Jarvis that works for me as my assistant. Adam was a goalkeeper that I coached. He's going to be the first one we're trying to experiment with this US scholarship thing. So Tyrell Soccer Assist. We got this through Ferdinand's, to be honest. So shout out to Ferdinand's. But Tyrell at Soccer Assist, he is going to be doing a webinar for our goalkeepers, year 10 and 11, to show them that there is a pathway to the US potentially. I think it's important for kids to know that you don't have to be a pro to use football to better yourselves. If you can go and get a business degree out in America that's funded because you're a good goalkeeper, why would you not do it? But Adam will be he's currently going through that trial process, so hopefully we lose him, but because he goes on and achieves and creates a life that he really wants. He's been brilliant, absolutely brilliant the way that he's come in. But to have him be able to coach for me, knowing that he knows the non-negotiables, he knows how we work, and been able to facilitate our sessions. We've now got another one that is doing that, is starting, he's finishing, due to finish school this year, he's doing the same thing in terms of the coaching. So it's really a case of that. Will that then we'll have 3 coaches, where it's always started with me, now it'll be 3. Does that give us the opportunity to take a couple of extra kids on, but without diluting the product? Potentially, we'll have a look at that. But a lot of it now is just going to be consistency and making sure that these kids are performing and enjoying it, and hopefully in the summer getting lots of trophies and awards.
Yeah.
So I think that's...
No, it's perfect, mate, and it's brilliant to hear. As you know, my son's can talk from a father. My son's been to your training. Always begs me to come back, but he won't play in goal a weekend, so I can't invest in that, I'm afraid. Proud to say you're an ambassador over at the Greys Youth as well. And you're highly recommended from everybody, including myself. So I think you're smashing it, mate. Really chuffed. And it's been great to get a catch up of where you've gone from the first time we sat down and had a chat, when we was all awkward on the first podcast, and now sitting here forgetting that we're being filmed.
I wanted to say thank you to you, because I'd obviously reached out to you, and to be fair, I know that I've been on to you on this, and I think it's important to know that when you have a business, and if there's anyone else out there that is trying to get into this or trying any other business, that it's not, there are people out there do things for you, and they don't necessarily need something in return, and I certainly try to do that if I can help anyone, I will, because I need to have to gain, to be able to help people, and if I look back and I literally rattled it off, if Scott Addison at the start, Tony Tucker within weeks afterwards, and then Ben South, those got us off the ground. Then we look at, I mean, I could name everybody at Grace Athletic, but in all honesty, like Steve Skinner and Glyn Jarvis for getting the grant and letting me use them. That really kind of got us off. Then Lee Viet, but Rob Seaman, they were in the youth section at the time, and they were pushing. Then I look at Cole Brown, Teddy Brown's dad, that connected me with Scott Honey-Jones, and Scott Honey-Jones at LTD with Dan Andrews. They helped me get onto there. Then that put me in touch with you, and the variety of work that you've been able to help me with. It's been a journey, but and like I say, we're only 5 years in. I have a this. I think I said this on the last one. Like an anxiety that I feel like it's going to die, and it's a good feeling, because that means I don't want it. Because I don't want it to. I'll keep pushing. But I can't underestimate that without people and parents as well, because ultimately, unless parents want to invest in their children, which they're going to do, but unless they want to, and unless they believe in you and they have that word of mouth, this would never have got off the ground. And without being real, I've got far too many parents to thank, but those ones, and they know who they are. In the early days, I rattled off some of the names earlier, but those people in the early days that stuck with us, it wouldn't be where it is now, and the kids that get to benefit from this, they wouldn't get to benefit. So I want to say thank you for letting me waffle on for a couple of hours, but giving me this opportunity.
It's a pleasure, mate. Absolute pleasure. And like you said to me, we had a moment, I remember, over at Allset Heath, when you pulled me aside and said, have a look, just have a look, with all the kids. And you said, this don't happen easily. We've got kids playing every night of the week. Mm-hmm. And the same goes for yourself. You've got to look and think how well and how far you've come, and be proud of what you're achieving. And all those kids that I know that have gone on to academies and might not be with you any longer, but are achieving fantastic things and have bright futures. That all starts with you, mate. So be proud of yourself. Keep going. And come over and see the Greys boys as soon as you can.
I will do. When I'm not coaching, I will do.
Perfect. Lovely to see you, mate.
Top man.
Legend.